Perfect. Playtime for Kitty.
Well, Catwoman falls under the category of one of our gadget characters. And, you know, as would be expected from somebody who knows Catwoman, she obviously has these really long claws, so her fighting style is really, you know, kind of slashes, and she's got this crazy whip that is also her tail. And so she pulls the tail off and kind of uses it as a whip, and that's kind of her main gadget that she uses. So very acrobatic, very, you know, whip orientated, and very kind of gadgety with big cracks and, you know, stuff like that. You can knock somebody up in the air, crack them with a whip, jump off, and continue hitting them up there like that.
And the claws are out.
Because we're NetherRealm Studios and because we're kind of associated with Mortal Kombat, the first thing people ask is direct comparisons to Mortal Kombat. They'll say, you know, is there fatalities in this game, or can you, you know, X-ray moves or something like that? And my kind of stock answer is, this game is its own identity. We don't have a Mortal Kombat template that we're following. We don't say, what's Superman's fatality? How does Batman do an X-ray? None of that stuff is in place. It's really just defining what this game is. And this game is all about over-the-top moves, kind of crazy special moves that are just, you know, as, you know, knocking somebody into space, running around the world, all these kind of crazy things. And, you know, the gadget characters and using the backgrounds for your in the fighting. That's what this game's identity is. So if somebody says, oh, I didn't like Mortal Kombat, this game isn't Mortal Kombat at all. It's really a completely different game in itself. I guess as far as keeping a game healthy, for a fighting game series, I think obviously you need to introduce new features with each iteration. You can't just skin an existing game and say, okay, this is version number 6, and it has the exact same features, because I think you're going to notice that the sales are going to go lower and lower. I think you need to introduce new elements every time. As far as, you know, keeping a fighting game alive, one particular one, I think a lot of it is the community. You know, like Mortal Kombat was actually in this year's EVO, which was, you know, over a year after it was released. So I think that kind of speaks to, you know, how strong the community can be in kind of keeping a fighting game in the public eye. People who play as well as EVO players are the vast minority of players, but they are the most vocal players. So it's a combination of a very vocal, small amount of people that I think are very instrumental in a fighting game becoming, having long-lasting appeal. But I do think that a fighting game needs to be as accessible as possible, and if you only cater to the hardcore fighting game players, then I don't think you're going to sell in big units, meaning, you know, the millions and whatnot. I always ask the question, you know, what percentage of the people can actually do this move? You know, I've played fighting games that are a lot of fun to play, but you see a move, what you need to do to input it, and how much time you have. And I've seen some that are, you know, so short that it's laughable. Maybe 2% of the population can do it. And that 2% have a great time playing it, but the other 98% just can't access that feature. So I think that a fighting game needs to have a certain amount of accessibility to the general public, or it just won't kind of penetrate the mass market and, you know, really kind of catch on. In terms of getting their special moves in the game, how they work together, so they're complementary to each other, I think that's one of the elements that a lot of people don't realize how important it is in terms of getting into a fighting game. You really need a set of moves that kind of work well together, or it's just kind of just random, haphazard, and there's no distinction between the characters. A lot of it is all the ingredients to, you know, make a cake or whatever it is. You know, you're not going to put all sugar in there, so it's kind of like you really need a wide variety of ingredients, so to speak. In my opinion, I think online is going to play a bigger and bigger role in fighting games. You know, so obviously, you know, as little lag as possible is needed in next generation consoles. That might not be as much as associated with next generation consoles as the next generation of internet connections. You know, just getting a faster connection and getting faster response time, that'll give you a fighting experience that's a little bit closer to a one-on-one in the same room fighting against each other. I think that's probably a really huge component. And then also, you know, fighting games need more tournament features. I think, you know, organized events online, I think is a big part of it. You know, a lot of these Evo tournaments are a really good indication of just how much fever you can get from a community. And if you can do that on a worldwide scale, so it's not like everybody has to fly into Las Vegas to go play, even though you get thousands of people doing it. If you could do that on a worldwide scale online, I think that's kind of like the next step in what fighting games need to become, you know, massive penetration in the mass market.